All right, adventurers, buckle up because we're diving headfirst into the eerie world of camping gone wrong. Today, we're unraveling the spine-chilling mysteries of 5 campers who pulled the ultimate vanishing act. That's right, these folks went into the wild and poof, gone, leaving behind nothing but questions, chills, and a whole lot of side-eye for the great outdoors. So, grab your flashlight, hold those marshmallows tight, and let's uncover the secrets hiding in the shadows. Laura Vogel was a seasoned camper and outdoor enthusiast with a passion for surfing and hiking. But on February 21, 2010, her solo camping trip in the Puella area outside Maui took a dark and baffling turn. She vanished without a trace. Laura, who had recently made Maui her home, planned to camp out near the POA Point Lighthouse under the stars. She even stopped by a friend's house that day, casually mentioning her plans. Decked out in a blue shirt and gray sweatpants, she set off for her adventure, but by the next morning she was nowhere to be found. When Laura didn't show up for work, her family's concern went into overdrive. They contacted Maui police, only to be hit with the dreaded wait 24 hours rule. Not ones to sit idly by, her friends took matters into their own hands. Their search led to a chilling discovery: Laura's van, abandoned on a grassy roadside. The passenger door was wide open, the keys dangled in the ignition, and her laptop lay on the back seat. But her cell phone? Gone. Adding to the eerie scene, the van was parked near a transient camp notorious for shady dealings. Police dove into the investigation, scouring the area and questioning everyone nearby. 2 days later, the plot thickened when Laura's cell phone was found smashed to pieces. A review of her phone records revealed a twist. After Laura texted a friend about her camping spot, her phone dialed a number she'd never called before. That number belonged to a homeless man from the transient camp. He denied any involvement, and a polygraph didn't help his case either. Still, he remained a person of interest. Laura's family was torn between heartbreak and confusion. They couldn't reconcile her disappearance with her responsible, risk-averse nature. The transient camp, with its reputation for crime and drugs, only deepened their fears. They questioned the thoroughness of the investigation, particularly regarding the camp and its residents. 2 theories emerged. One suggested Laura might have slipped off a cliff while navigating the rugged terrain in less than ideal footwear, flip-flops. Her family dismissed this as unlikely, given her experience and caution. The other, far more troubling theory, pointed to foul play, with the strange phone calls and the condition of her van fueling suspicion. Determined to find answers, Laura's loved ones launched their own search efforts, hired private investigators, and kept her story alive. Despite the passing years, they refused to give up hope. To this day, Laura's case remains a haunting mystery, but her family continues to fight for the truth, believing that someone out there knows what really happened that fateful night. Christina Kao was a bright 20-year-old with big dreams and a heart full of energy. In August 2007, she packed up her adventurous spirit and headed to Rainbow Falls Provincial Park in Ontario, Canada, with her cousin Faith and 2 friends, Eddie and Joe. It was supposed to be a weekend of campfire vibes, stunning nature views, and some much-needed bonding time. Christina, known for her bubbly personality and dreams of teaching and missionary work, couldn't have been more excited. After pitching their tents near Whitson Lake under a sunny sky, the group got right into the camping groove. By nightfall, they were gathered around a crackling fire, swapping stories and laughing until their cheeks hurt. Life felt perfect. But, as they say, nothing gold can stay. Tired from all the fun, they hit their tents for a quick snooze, only to wake up late the next morning. Oops, no big deal. Just a minor hiccup in their adventure. Keen to make the most of the day, Christina and Eddie decided to kick things off with a morning jog. With the fresh air pumping them up, they explored the lush trails, marveling at the beauty around them. Then came the fateful decision. They split up to cover more ground. It seemed innocent enough, just a couple of curious souls soaking in the forest vibes. But that's where everything went sideways. Eddie returned to camp, but Christina didn't. At first, the group thought she might have taken a scenic detour, but as the minutes stretched into hours, panic set in. They shouted her name, scoured the trails, and searched every corner they could think of. When all else failed, they called in the big guns, the Ontario Provincial Police. Cue a full-blown search operation, helicopters buzzing overhead, K9 units sniffing through the forest, and search teams leaving no rock unturned. The park was combed inch by inch, but Christina was nowhere to be found. As days turned into weeks and weeks into years, hope began to waver. Christina's family held on as tightly as they could, pouring every ounce of energy into finding her, but the mystery only deepened. Today, Christina's disappearance remains an unresolved heartbreak. Her friends and family still cling to her memory, their lives forever marked by her absence. The search for answers continues, fueled by love and determination, even as time threatens to steal away the hope they hold dear. In May 1989, Charles Horvath Allen set off on a solo adventure across Canada. Born in Ontario and raised in the UK, Charles was a free spirit with dreams as big as the open road. His goal was to travel from Quebec to British Columbia, soaking up the stunning scenery before heading to Hong Kong to celebrate his 21st birthday with his mom Denise. But things didn't quite go as planned. As Charles cruised through the beautiful landscapes of British Columbia, he found himself in Kelowna, a charming little town on Canada's west coast. It was at a campsite there, called Tiny Town, where his journey took an eerie turn. The last time anyone saw Charles was when he was cashing a check at a local bank on May 26, 1989. After that, he disappeared, poof, without a trace. Back in England, Denise was thrust into an absolute nightmare, desperate for any news of her missing son. With no support from local authorities, she took matters into her own hands, flying back and forth between Canada and England, plastering posters of Charles all over Kelowna, hoping someone might know something. But the answers she sought stayed just out of reach. Then came a mysterious note slipped under her motel door, suggesting Charles had been beaten to death and his body dumped in a nearby lake. Shocked and horrified, Denise immediately mobilized a search, sending divers to check the lake. But when they recovered a body, it wasn't Charles's, leaving her more confused and heartbroken than ever. But Denise wasn't about to give up. Year after year, she returned to Kelowna, relentless in her quest for answers. Her determination caught the attention of Locate International, an agency specializing in missing persons. With their help, Denise's search gained fresh momentum. They partnered with Leeds Beckett University to start a cold case unit focused on Charles's disappearance, diving deep into the case for any overlooked clues. Little by little, new details came to light, as witnesses began to speak up about their encounters with Charles in the days before he vanished. Each new piece of the puzzle gave Denise hope that the truth was within reach, but the mystery remained unsolved, and her fight for answers continued. Then, in August 2020, the High Court of Justice officially declared Charles dead under the Presumption of Death Act 2013. It was a bittersweet moment for Denise. Some closure, but still no peace. She vowed to keep searching for her son's remains, knowing the road ahead would be long and tough. But with the support of Locate International and Leeds Beckett University, Denise continues the search, refusing to let her beloved son be forgotten. For her, finding answers isn't just about closure, it's about honoring Charles's memory and making sure his story is never lost. Sandra Hughes, a lively 59-year-old adventurer with a love for nature, decided to swap Maui's sunny beaches for the rugged beauty of California's Sierra National Forest. It was June 2020, a time when the world was stuck at home, battling the COVID-19 pandemic. For Sandra, though, staying indoors was not an option. Nature was her escape, her therapist, and her best friend. So, while others baked sourdough and binged Netflix, Sandra packed her gear, ready for a solo camping trip in the wilderness she adored. Before setting out, Sandra made sure to touch base with her family. On June 26th, she called her niece Ashley, casually mentioning her plan to camp solo. For her, it was about reconnecting with herself, surrounded by whispering trees and starlit skies. But little did anyone know, this would be the last time anyone spoke to her. As the 4th of July approached, Sandra ventured to Johnson's Meadow, a picturesque spot nestled in the Sierra National Forest and not too far from Yosemite National Park. She set up her tent, probably humming a tune, as the sweet scent of pine filled the air. It was the perfect setting for her little escape. But as the days ticked by, things took a strange turn. On July the 2nd, hikers stumbled upon her campsite, and it was a sight straight out of a mystery novel. The tent was in complete disarray, and items were scattered as if a tornado had danced through the area. This wasn't like Sandra at all. She was the everything in its place type of camper. Alarmed, the hikers promptly contacted the authorities. Cue the search parties. Rescue teams combed through the dense forest, shouting Sandra's name and scanning every nook and cranny. But for days, it was as if she had vanished into thin air. Then, on July 6th, there was finally a clue. Her car was found near Chiquito Creek. The vehicle had a bit of damage, as though it had kissed a tree, but it wasn't wrecked enough to explain much. Witnesses claimed to have seen Sandra walking away from the car, looking disoriented but physically unharmed. Theories swirled. Did she crash because she was startled? Was someone or something chasing her? The Sierra National Forest is beautiful, sure, but it's also a place of eerie silence and shadowy corners. Had she stumbled upon something she wasn't supposed to see? Things got weirder on July 12th when her sleeping bag turned up 2.5 miles north of her car. Just imagine the forest, quiet, but for the rustle of leaves, and there, among the trees, her sleeping bag lying abandoned. How had she managed to cover such a distance on foot? Was she lost, wandering aimlessly, or was something or someone leading her deeper into the wilderness? The mystery deepened. Weeks turned into months, and hope began to waver. Sandra's family clung to slivers of optimism, but the search yielded nothing new. Then, on August 9th, a bizarre twist. 2 hunters reported seeing a woman matching Sandra's description near Portuguese Creek. She looked thinner, her clothes weathered. But here's the kicker, she seemed calm. Not frantic, not desperate, just serene. The hunters couldn't make sense of it, and before anyone could track her down, she vanished once again. By now, Sandra's story had taken on an almost mythical quality. The case went cold, and she became a ghostly figure in the Sierra National Forest's lore. But the plot thickened a year later, on July 21st, 2021. A family exploring the Madera County mountains reported seeing a mysterious figure lying motionless in a meadow. The woman's legs were oddly positioned in the air, and the sight gave them chills. Could this be Sandra, still out there, lost but somehow present in a way no one could explain? Sandra Hughes' disappearance has since become the stuff of legends, sparking countless theories and endless speculation. Was she a victim of foul play? Did she encounter wildlife? Or was her disappearance tied to something supernatural, a force beyond human understanding? The Sierra National Forest, after all, has its fair share of eerie tales. For her family, the unanswered questions are a constant ache. They yearn for closure, for a sign, for anything that might tell them what happened. Sandra's story remains an unsolved puzzle, a chilling reminder of how vast and mysterious nature can be. And while the forest whispers its secrets, the world continues to wonder what really happened to Sandra Hughes. Perhaps she found the solitude she craved, but in a way no one expected. Or maybe, just maybe, the Sierra holds her story, waiting for the right moment to reveal the truth. Until then, Sandra's legacy lives on as a haunting tale of adventure, mystery, and the untamed power of the wild. In the summer of 1952, 10-year-old Connie Smith packed her adventurous spirit and headed from her home in Wyoming to Camp Sloan, a YMCA camp in Salisbury, Connecticut. It was supposed to be a fun getaway filled with new friendships and campfire tales. But little did anyone know, Connie's trip would become one of Connecticut's most baffling mysteries. The day of her disappearance started on a rocky note, literally. After a scuffle with other campers, Connie ended up with a bloody nose. Not one to let a little drama ruin her day, she shrugged it off and later told her tent mates she was heading out to grab an ice pack. What happened next? No one knows. Connie left behind her belongings, donned her blue shorts, a long-sleeved shirt, and a bright red windbreaker, and walked away with only a small black purse containing cherished photos. That was the last time anyone at Camp Sloan saw her. Witnesses later reported seeing Connie along Indian Mountain Road. Some remembered her picking daisies, while others recalled her asking for directions to Lakeville, Connecticut. But here's where it gets strange. Connie had mentioned feeling homesick, yet just days earlier, during her mom's visit, she seemed happy and even asked to stay longer. The mix of conflicting emotions only added to the enigma. 3 hours after realizing Connie was missing, camp counselors launched a search. Panic quickly spread. Witnesses claimed they saw Connie hitchhiking near the intersection of U.S. Route 44 and Belgo Road. A bold move for a 10-year-old, but not entirely surprising for someone as independent and self-reliant as Connie was known to be. Her disappearance unleashed a wave of concern that rippled far beyond the camp. Community members, state troopers, volunteers, and even aircraft from Westover Airfield and the Civil Air Patrol scoured the area. Flyers went up, search parties combed through the woods, and tips poured in from across the region. Truck drivers, carnival workers, and even traveling gypsies were scrutinized in hopes of finding any connection to Connie. Despite these exhaustive efforts, Connie remained elusive. Her disappearance became the largest missing person search in Connecticut's history, leaving everyone, from investigators to her heartbroken family, in turmoil. Her father, Peter Smith, joined the search, holding on to hope that his daughter would be found. But as weeks turned into months and then years, the case grew colder. Theories abounded. Reported sightings stretched from Canada to New York, sparking momentary hope, but each lead ultimately fizzled out. Investigators pursued numerous suspects, including William Henry Redmond, a former carnival worker with a suspicious past and a murder charge. Redmond seemed like a promising lead until he passed a polygraph test, and investigators couldn't place him in Connecticut at the time of Connie's disappearance. Then came the bizarre confession of Frederick Pope, a traveling salesman who told Ohio police he knew what happened to Connie. Pope implicated his associate, Jack Walker, claiming Connie had been abducted and murdered in Arizona. It sounded convincing at first, but under scrutiny, Pope's story fell apart faster than a poorly built campfire. Investigators found inconsistencies and no evidence to support his claims, leaving them back at square one. Connie's case, labeled B57H in state records, became one of Connecticut's most notorious cold cases. Even lead investigator Richard Chapman refused to give up, continuing to search for answers well into his retirement. Despite advancements in DNA technology and database cross-referencing, no breakthroughs were made. Connie's father passed away without ever knowing what happened to his little girl, and his obituary heartbreakingly acknowledged the ongoing mystery. As the years passed, theories and whispers persisted, but hard evidence remained as elusive as ever. Was Connie lured away by someone she trusted? Did she get lost in the wilderness, or was foul play involved? The questions linger, haunting the memories of those who remember her story. To this day, Connie Smith's disappearance remains a chilling mystery, frozen in time. It's a story of a young girl who vanished one summer day, leaving behind a trail of questions and a community forever searching for answers. Until the truth comes to light, Connie's tale stands as a somber reminder of the fragility of innocence and the enduring hope for closure.